Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms, and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo. Greetings and salutations, honor and respect. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, supported, promoted by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. 2026 New Orleans International Voodoo Day promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo-inspired works by talented local and international artists. The event will also feature a children's program and an Afroecology exhibit exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their role in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to New Orleans marker on the moonwalk at the river and conclude with a traditional voodoo ceremony at Congo Square. Additionally, visitors can participate in interactive workshops, community discussions, and opportunities to connect with practitioners and cultural experts. And we continue to invite you to join us here at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for weeknight celebration and discussion and education about voodoo worldwide, but most certainly New Orleans voodoo in particular. And tonight, I want to uh, start with saying New Orleans voodoo was born from the marriage of African traditions and Creole culture, merging French, Spanish, Catholic, and Native beliefs, and later a strong Haitian influence. We have been discussing that no two solitary practitioners are alike, nor are the local formal houses alike. Each group or individual works with their court of spirits and ancestors and sees to the needs of their communities outside strict doctrine or canon. In New Orleans, the word voodoo can be seen on t shirts, food, in music, street signs, and heard on any street corner in the French Quarter in a rainbow of different contexts. It is part of the living history of the city. And as no two people are alike, most definitions of this eclectic term will not be the same. However, one thing each explanation will probably all have in common is magic. Interestingly, not so often do we hear religion, even though the term originated in Dahomey for God or spirit and is in fact a profound spiritual tradition with a rich history. Religious and spiritual practices such as New Orleans voodoo, Haitian voodoo, Santeria, Candomblé, Obia, and hoodoo exist in their current forms through the resilience of the displaced people of the historic of the horrific practices of slave trade. And through the strength of their spirits, the old gods of the African continent were brought into the new world and took root. Practices in each region where enslaved people were brought differ depending on many things, including the available resources for offerings and ritual, percentage of similar beliefs of the enslaved people, colonist religions present, as well as native traditions. At Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo, you will see many Catholic supplies, saints, and elements of the Christian religion initially used as a mask for the worship of African gods, Christianity, and specifically Catholicism and its iconology have been intrinsically linked with modern voodoo practices. The image of Saint Lazarus or Saint Peter is Papa Legba in our traditions. Inversely, Saint Michael is used widely as a protective spirit on his own and not necessarily linked with the Ogu sister traditions. You will also see a variety of Western pagan elements and influences that are used by current root workers. Modern New Orleans practitioners do not judge tools by their origin, but by their efficacy in the magic. And spiritual power lies in its efficacy, its ability to produce lasting, powerful, reliable results. Voodoo is an umbrella term that has been widely misunderstood as relating to black magic or devil worship, thanks to sensational ideas of Hollywood and publishing in the 1800s and beyond. Even outside of manufactured pop culture, it is still used by many as a wide ranging deceptor for African based New World religions. Most modern practitioners have a deep and beautiful relationship to spirit and ancestors, and a belief that one's circumstances can be made better with help from the former and ritual practice. In our house, we carry items relating to a myriad of and mixing pot of distinct religions and spiritual practices, not limited to the type of magic Marie Laveau herself would have practiced. This is the legacy of New Orleans voodoo and her practitioners. In the spirit of the founder of the African diasporic traditions, practitioners in New Orleans use all tools available to attain their ends. Voodoo practice today may look very different from 100 years ago, but the purpose and spirit remain the same. Using a planetary symbol or a poppet adapted from Western occult traditions, voodoo dolls, Grigri bags, a modern voodoo practitioner may have the same spiritual resonance as her predecessor, casting a love spell using a simple lock of hair, sugar, and a red ribbon. The technology of magic has changed, just as the technology of electricity has. And this is important to remember when speaking about a living tradition. And just like the forebearers of New Orleans voodoo, it is typical to see prayers, devotional rituals, use of natural elements worn or carried in the form of talisman or charms, cleansing baths, floor washes, and group rituals involving drumming and spirit possession as part of the modern day practice. The magic of New Orleans voodoo lies in the practitioners of today, as well as the colorful characters of the city's past, such as our honored namesake Marie Laveau. Some may use terms like root work, hoodoo, or conjure to describe aspects of their craft. Some may use Western magic principles and tools to enhance their workings. Some houses hold private rituals to honor deities such as Le Grand Zombie, Papa Limba, and others in the city hold lineage to Haiti or Cuba. Modern New Orleans voodoo has come full circle from separation of traditions to the remelting of many African diasporic traditions with indigenous American and Western occult influence. Further, some practitioners of voodoo in New Orleans are divorced from the spirits of the old world and prefer to work with the healing remedies of natural medicines of folk magic. The root to our colorful tree remains in Africa, and the truth to our colorful practice remains in ancestral reverence and transmuting circumstance. Voodoo in New Orleans is living and breathing change through the souls who work magic through her. We also now find Haitian voodoo, Santeria, Candomblé, Lukumi, and various other traditional organized West African systems present here in the city of New Orleans. And we're certainly grateful for those of you who continue to come out and show up for this powerful podcast. Lateria Daniels, greetings and salutations to you and yours. Britt Brat Dash Skeleton 504 Ever. Thank you so much for continuing to be present. S. Marie, thank you so much for coming and joining us. I also want to open the mic and reintroduce my co-host, the Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, followed by Elder Reggie, Green Soap, and we are certainly grateful for your presence. Greetings, Sister Toni.
Greetings, everyone out there in the listening area. So glad you joined us tonight. Right before it was time to come on from the show, I was talking to my youngest daughter. She's moving into a new house, and she told me she was going with a friend to clean up the house before she moved in. And I'm like, you got your ammonia, you got your sage. Don't take all the dirt out there. If you see some of the corn, Mama, I know. She was like, Mama, I know. Yeah, I got it. But yeah, it's house cleaning time to get rid of the spirits that may not be so nice in there. But I always leave something in the house that was left behind so that the spirits in there will feel respected. And I leave it in there for a few weeks until they get acclimated to my environment and my energy, and then I'll get rid of it. But I was thinking on what made Marie Laveau so popular over the other practitioners of her time. Because during her time there were many male and female, and I was wondering what made her so popular, more popular than the other ones. What you think, Elder Reggie?
Blessings, Sister Toni, Divine Prince, and the collective audience. Just from some of the deep dive that I just happened to stumble onto, I think with Marie Laveau in particular, she had what we call magnetism. She was an attractive lady. So that's magnetism there. That's going to draw people towards you. But she had something else. And like I always do, I like to just read a little bit just to put it in a narrative that we can understand. When Divine Prince was reading earlier, he brought up the word spiritual power. And so what's separating Marie Laveau from other practitioners is going to be power, the power that she possessed. But what is spiritual power? Spiritual power is really, the term is called supernatural, refers to phenomenon or entities that exist beyond the laws of nature in the physical world. It is often associated with divine forces, spirits, or otherworldly beings. The term derived from medieval Latin and combines super, meaning above or beyond, and natural, meaning nature. Supernatural themes are commonly found in folklore, religion, and storytelling, exploring the relationship between humanity and the unknown, including concepts of life after death, ghosts, and gods. So Marie Laveau was able to tap into the supernatural, and the people around her seen that as a form of power. And I believe that's what separated her from some of her compadres, competitors, and other people of her day.
Yeah,
And what about
I would have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That has also been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, however, and I'm only speaking about myself, and I'm going to reference Big Frida reality TV show. Many of you all saw that and know that I gave Big Frida a reading. And quite a bit of it was done for television. But then there was a point in the filming when we had captured all the, what we needed for the show. that the producers then asked me to go beyond what we had been planning to do for the show. They started asking me questions about people, places, and things that I really wasn't ready to address. And one of those people was her brother. And I told her, if you all don't do something and do something now, your brother will be dead in a year. Well, as many of you know, at 10 months later, 3 a.m, one of the PAs from the production called me and to let me know that my prediction had come true. Of course, I'm half asleep. What are you talking about? Frida's brother was murdered. So I'm finding now that is one of the biggest draws in terms of new clientele seeking me out. And it's a little bit disturbing to me. Why does it take a prediction of death? Why does it take some extreme supernatural event to really get our attention when we really are walking in and out of magic every single day of our lives?
I say, yes.
I think a lot of people take that as proof that he know what he doing. How did he know that? I think that's validation. You also did other things, predictions for her in readings that were done on TV that also came true about somebody in the lower ninth ward. And that also was on the show, and that came true, and that's further validation. I think people need any kind of validation. If you would have said you're going to meet a man on a horse and he's going to become your husband before the year is out, and lo and behold, she met a carriage driver and they started going out and she ended up getting engaged again, that would have been validation to
Yeah.
your ability. But it just so happens that the strongest validation was the prediction of her brother.
But Sister Toni, just to follow up with Marie Laveau, and we all read the stories. I believe it was the two prisoners that was at the parish prison, which ironically is the municipal auditorium in Congo Square. But before it was the municipal auditorium, it was a prison.
Yeah.
And it was Marie Laveau devout praying. And in the day of the hangings, when the noose slipped from around these men's neck and they fell to the ground and they wasn't dead, everyone in the audience was in awe of her powers that she was perceived to have. And from there, the mythology just built on and built on and built on until she became this phenomenon. And that's what I believe. I believe she had some talent and she did do some things, but it just take one or two miracles. I believe in the Catholic tradition to become a saint, you or motherhood or whatever, you have to have some kind of miracle under your belt that that was recorded in the world scene in order to get to that level. And I believe that's what Marie Laveau had displayed.
And then my thinking was, yes, she did. And that was a strong validation right there. But I also think it was because how she walked in her community. She was very seen in the community as far as doing community service with the the homeless and helping those in need, the sick, healing the sick. So she got out in the community and she was known in the community. And that's another validation that she just wasn't in it for money. She was actually out there doing communal works for free. And the people respected that also.
Right. If you will, I shared this man name with Divine Prince. His name is Valmore. Sister Toni, have you ever heard of him?
What's his name?
Valmore.
No, I haven't.
Right. Now, he lived during the time frame of Marie Laveau. And this is a primary source that I'm reading firsthand. If you just bear with me, I'm gonna read it. Valmore at one time was very involved in voodoo, but transitioned to spiritualism when the movement appeared in New Orleans in the 1850s. Joseph Barthé Spiritualist periodical, first primary, documents Valmore's impressive healing powers, helping both whites and African Americans. Sometimes the healing process involves specially mixed portions, and sometimes just a touch of his hand would cure a bedridden patient. Constance Renee is a friend of Henry Ray and later a spiritual messenger, recounted to Bartlett how Valmore killed his young wife. I declare with great satisfaction. And the reason I bring that up, and it's a primary source, no one knows of him, but yet he, let's say if he was not competing with Marie Laveau at that time, but he was doing works at that same time she was doing it. But he's lost to the aisles of the history book, not the history books, to the deep dive notes. You just don't know of him. And so I believe it was the magnetism for Marie Laveau with the attraction that she had that just put her above. I don't think the work she done was more potent than what other people was doing at that time.
I agree with that because again, the fear element is still prevalent and palatable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've I've done some work with folks who show me great honor, great respect, but they don't fool with me at all. And again, it's the fear. Many people know of the story of the Mardi Gras Indian who broke into my house and died within a week. It's the fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm constantly sort of in a struggle to override the fear, particularly that fear induced by Hollywood, Skeleton Key, and Serpent in the Rainbow, to really demonstrate just the power that exists within nature and within the voodoo practice. But again, just like Britt Brett Dash said in the chat, the human experience feels like seeking continual validation. And I believe the magical book, the Bible, says something very similar to that. In the last days, they will be asking for a sign.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been plenty of signs. We just
Mm-hmm.
choose not to respond, or it's got to really hurt us. It's got to afflict us before we then decide, okay, maybe I need to, reconsider my ways. Many
Yeah.
people turn to religion out of trauma and negative experiences, and then seek God, for salvation.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely a
Especially,
human thing.
especially those that go to jail and prison, they always let's say 95% of the time, seek out some type of religion
Mm-hmm.
while they're, incarcerated. I
Mm-hmm.
see R. Kelly is putting out new music now, and he got a song out about his religious experience in jail, telling us he got an altar in his cell now.
Mm-hmm.
So they all turn to religion. And I often wonder, because I dealt with a lot of prison inmates, was it that fear of, if you die, you're going to hell for what you did, and they be trying to think they getting right with God? Or is it before they just never tried religion? They wasn't religious before, and maybe they think they should have been. That's where they mess up was. That's why they went astray. Um, is the human experience is quite complicated and
Mm-hmm.
comes with many different, I want to say, excuses for what people do, them needing validation. We need to see. We have this saying, show me, show me. They don't believe anything unless they see it with their own eyes or hear it with their own ears. And now with AI, that's going to be almost impossible to do. They used to say a picture is worth 1,000 words. A
Mm-hmm.
picture ain't worth nothing these days, not at all.
Mm-mm.
Because they could be manufactured and everything. So just because you got a picture, I still don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But Sister Toni, as a practitioner myself, and when I do readings for clients and stuff, they always want me to tell them like a hidden secret about themselves. And the spirit don't give me that information. And they almost using, if I could tell them something about themselves that I shouldn't know, that validates me as a practitioner. And if the spirit don't give me that information, I cannot give it to them. I've had people I've done one-time readings for, never came back, never had wanted to do anything with me because I just couldn't do this so-called fortune telling of something that they know what was factual and true, and I was supposed to know it because quote unquote you are a reader. And that is a problem somewhat too. I think people have brought into, I call it the Jesus phenomenon. If you cannot walk on water, if you can't turn blood into wine, then you just a useless person saying you got access to spirit.
yeah, and that could be one of the major reasons you didn't give them the validation they needed. Or you could have very well told them stuff that you shouldn't have been knowing, and it scared them, and they were scared of you.
That's
Mm,
my experience.
okay.
Yeah, they get scared of you. Um, a long time ago, I worked in a Riverwalk, and they had this place called the Bottom of the Cup where they
Mm,
did tea readings and stuff. And there was an old lady who was your stereotypical gypsy.
mm-hmm.
And I avoided her. I mean, I knew what they did. I knew who she was. I avoided her with everything. But one day she jammed me up in the second floor bathroom. And
Mm-hmm.
she came in and I was washing my hand and she stood by the door and I was like, oh my God. She is an elder. I just can't say, excuse me, get out my way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with
And
you.
immediately she started reading me, telling me stuff. And after she told me that stuff, I was really afraid of her. And I avoided her even more.
Mm,
I would actually send the workers who cleaned up the Riverwalk to go up on the second floor to see if she was in the shop before I would go to the food court.
oh wow.
I was scared. She told me some true stuff, and then she told me some stuff that I was like, "How the hell?
Mm-hmm.
This lady creeps me out. I don't want to be around her no more." So for me, I mean, she blew my mind, and I was afraid of that lady because I didn't want her to tell me some stuff next time that I did not want to hear.
Mhm.
Okay, okay.
So I avoided her. And I was so glad when they moved out of the Riverwalk. I could have did somersaults on the dock.
Yeah, yeah, I laugh it because I want to tell you that that business still exists. It's just that it's on Charter Street now.
Well, yeah, they had the one on Charters when they had that one too. They were trying to branch out.
Okay,
They
okay.
had both locations, and I guess she would be at the other location sometime when she wasn't in the Riverwalk. But the
Yeah.
reason why it wasn't that she told me lies. I mean, she told me stuff that validated. She told me stuff in the future. I didn't want to hear her tell me nothing else that I didn't want to hear. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she told me I would have another daughter, and I'm like, well, how this woman don't know if I got my tube side? And sure enough, I had another daughter.
Yeah.
My last child was a daughter.
See, but the truth be told, Sister Toni, back to supernatural power. Some of us humans that come into this world, they're just born gifted. That's, if I could use such a word, they're born with certain talents. And those talents rise to the forefront over a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you take a sports athlete or people who's very high IQ, some people come in with spiritual gifts and it's just who they are, and they can do these type things. And I know it may sound frightening and scare some people when you give them insight about their life or their surrounding or a particular incident, but sometimes you just one of the people that has the gift, and they need to hear what you telling them at that time.
And you know what? A lot of people say they want to know, and then when you start telling them no, they really don't want to know.
Right.
That part.
Right.
They don't want to know.
Mm-mm.
So
And when
they
they
could not.
test me like that,
Right.
will tell me something, that you shouldn't know. Spirit always goes deep and, and,
Mm-hmm.
and, and reveals to me that one thing that they really don't want said out loud. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And that's usually the first thing that I see, and I pick up on those type of clients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd
And
be like,
that's
you really don't want to know, do you?
Be careful what you ask
Don't
for.
ask the question if you don't want the answer.
mm-hmm.
And with that old lady in the Riverwalk, I didn't want to know. I wasn't asking no questions. I didn't want to know nothing. And I don't want you to see my face and start blurting out stuff like you a sportscaster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm staying away from you. And that could very well be the case when somebody come and get in the reading and you don't see them no more.
Mm-hmm. See.
Because what I found is if you don't give people what they want right then and there, you'll know by their responses and stuff, whether they satisfied or unsatisfied. Because they will tell you, especially black people, they'll be like, well, you ain't tell me nothing I didn't already know.
Sister Toni, you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, as an active practitioner, that's been told to me directly in my face. What could I do with that?
That's the way it is. I already know that's the way people do, especially our own people. And the ones
Mhm.
that you really tell them stuff and then scared them, they won't say a word. They will leave and thank you and look wide-eyed, and you'll never see them again unless they want to go to the next step. And most people really don't want to go to the next step.
No, because they like to manage crisis. If they're in a crisis, whatever that crisis may be, they want to manage it and get over it. And once you help them get over that crisis, they're gone. You don't hear back from them or nothing like that. So you're right. Yeah, they're not trying to go too much farther.
I mean, this lady from, that place
Mm-hmm.
in a Riverwalk, she told me stuff that didn't happen till 10 years later, but it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember people tend to remember something from people that scare you, because she literally scared me. And when it happened and I sit down and think about it, I was like, oh, that old gypsy told me this.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. Yeah, yeah. And so we just highlighted what made Marie Laveau and New Orleans voodoo in itself pick up a mythology that went worldwide, and it's still going on strong today. Yeah. So there had to
Yeah,
be
and
something.
Marie Laveau is one of the New Orleanians that is in the history books.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 Yes.
She in the history books.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they got it twisted, but she's in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And from when you do some of the reading, they say, "Oh, she was a hairdresser. She heard people personal stories, and so she gave them back what she heard from the itching ears of her clients. But I believe the lady has some supernatural powers. She may have gathered some information that way, but she also had some supernatural powers also. And so when you
Oh,
combine all that together, it made for a Marie Laveau that we all, do deep dives to continue to read about and learn about.
Yeah, it's for that reason that I don't allow my clients to speak. They can't tell me anything. They can request a reading by email. I don't want to know what I'm looking at, what you want the reading for. And I usually won't let them speak for like the first 40 minutes, just so
Mm.
that they can hear a direct line from spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting because I see a lot of people when time they be doing the reading, they be wanting a little information or something from the person that they can use, I guess, as a conduit, something personal that they could hold in their hand or whatever. Some people operate like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's true too. That's true too. That because a lot of times, and this is from my personal experience, people are nervous. They come to get a reading, they're nervous, they're scared, they're already spooked out. And just to try to calm them down, I have to do certain little things just to make them feel comfortable. And so we could get this reading done and move forward from there.
Now, when I do my best readings is when a person is highly emotional.
Mm, okay.
Their anger sets me off
Mm,
immediately. If they're upset about something, I'll click on and say, well, they did. And they be like, how you know they did that? I ain't tell you who did it. I
mm,
feed off that energy. I feed off of energy of somebody that's angry, that's super excited, and
mm-hmm.
stuff like that. That gets me. A person sitting there calmly is like, I'm like, and
But Sister Toni, when the way you're doing the reading, and they use the word chakras. So there's different energies and colors moving around. And so when that person in front of you and they're emotional, there's something in you that's picking up, let's say, that color vibe of that person and
yes.
tapping into that. And now you into how to give them the proper reading. Yeah, that's a good vision that you have. That I would call that a gift.
Well, the gypsy lady told me not to be afraid of it because what I got from my mother, who got it from her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when I found my family
Mm-hmm.
and found my sisters after I'm in my 60s, I found
Mm-hmm.
out my grandmother was a reader and people would pay for her to do readings for them.
Oh, look at the ancestors. Look at God, as they say. That's that. Yeah, DNA kept that same lineage going on.
But the thing that freaked me out, how the gypsy woman knew it. That's why, you see, it's things like that, that I say it was almost the same amount of years for me to find out is when she told me that. Because when she told me that, I was like 24 years old.
Yeah. Well, the Egyptian lady had the gift also, and she
Oh,
had
yeah,
probably
she had it. She scared the hell out of me with it, too.
yeah for years and years, and so she knew what she was saying and what she was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's time for us to end our show for tonight. I want to once again thank everybody in the chat for coming in and joining us. Thank you for your continued support. And I'm going to give it over to Elder Reggie to close us out.
Hmm. Thank you, Sister Toni. Beautiful, beautiful dialogue. And we always thank Divine Prince Ty for bringing such good topics, such good energy to make this show move the way it moved. And we appreciate our chat because I read the chat. We just don't dialogue with them, but they be coming with some good point of views too. And that do my spirit good to hear that. But with that being said, lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that bind the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. And it is in that social division that we are working to heal. With that, I say, ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. Sleep well. We love you.
Ashe, good night, everyone. Good night, Prince. Good night, Elder.
Odabo, AYIBOBO.
Onions wasn't just food, they was medicine. We boiled them for colds, layered them with honey for cough syrup, mashed them into poultices to pull out pain and poison, even made broth when our bodies was weak. Antibacterial, antiviral onions healed us from the inside out. That's how we made it through without pills.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in it.
So, knowing what you know now, would you still get cursed?
I'm seeking out a curse, a hex to put on myself.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God's real.
He could curse you with stupidity, but we think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's the power you're calling on. The devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Wyong is pretty much the epicenter of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.